WHCJ 90.3 FM, the voice of Savannah State University. This is Willie B. Hall here, your host of the Tiger Forum. The Tiger Forum, as you know, is the show where students can be heard, the community will be lifted, and Savannah State University will be highlighted. Dr. Andy Young tells the story that they were speaking and Dr. King just got up and walked out and went into his room and said, "I have to pray." And he had on his suit and his tie, and when he came out of the room, he was dressed in his blue slacks and his dress blues, and that was symbolizing that he was going to break the ordinance and he was going to march. He marched, he was arrested, he went to jail, and from there he wrote the letter from the Birmingham jail. Medgar Evers, double NAACP, the NAACP leader in Jackson, Mississippi, was assassinated on June 12th. Governor George C. Wallace tries to stop the black students from entering the University of Alabama. All of this is happening in 1963. In November of that year, President John F. Kennedy is assassinated in Dallas. 4 little girls were killed in Birmingham at a church explosion, bombing. The March on Washington took place in 1963. And when we think about the March on Washington, we also think about circumstances that were not supposed to go exactly, and people didn't expect it exactly. The SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, were actually supposed to speak, and one of those representatives, if I'm not mistaken, had wrote a speech about the president at the time, John F. Kennedy, and his refusal to get involved deeply into civil rights. And they knew that would be controversial, so all of the leaders, they urged the SNCC to take that part out of their speech. They debated up until the final seconds before the speech, and his speech was actually expected to be the big speech. But of course, Dr. King, I Have a Dream speech took over and basically set his prophecy and his vision for America. His dream. Dr. King receives the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964 in Norway. There was over $50,000 in prize money that was awarded to the Nobel Peace Prize winner. He donated all of the proceeds to the movement. He believed that his life should be led in solemn. He should be modest. Even reading his wife's, Mrs. Coretta Scott King's book, she really describes Dr. King being modest and him not even wanting to wear suits a lot of the time. And she describes in her book, My Life with Martin Luther King Jr., that if it was up to him, he would not dress up daily. But he felt that he had to appear a certain way in order for people to take him seriously. At the time of Dr. King's Nobel Peace Prize winner, when they didn't stay in a large home. His family didn't stay in a large home. They were modest. They lived modestly. He lived on the salary of a minister, and that says a lot about him and his beliefs as well. 1965, Malcolm X was assassinated, and it's very interesting because they had very different beliefs, But they only met one time, and there's that famous picture that most of us remember of them two embracing and big grins and big smiles on their faces. That's the only time they met. They had different views. It's funny because at the end of both of their lives, they both believed and they both began to change their views. Dr. King became a lot more radical in his thinking and in his beliefs. He began to speak out about the Vietnam War. Malcolm X became a lot more nonviolent, and he actually disbanded from the Nation of Islam, and he began to apologize for a lot of his statements.
Endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I have a dream this afternoon. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. I have a dream this afternoon that the brotherhood of man will become a reality in this day. With this faith, I will go out and carve a tunnel of hope through the mountain of despair. With this faith, I will go out with you and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. With this faith, we will be able to achieve this.